Hey people, it's Chilli here from Live Listen Erased, and on this episode we have the Neil Young album Toast. However, just to give you a heads up, the video file was actually corrupted, so for this video we plan to just have a visual experience. I hope you enjoyed the following episode. Hi people, and hello my Chilli Con Carnage Crew, it's Chilli here, and I am bringing you a 5-minute review, but of course this episode is going to go for a little bit more than 5 minutes. We're going a little bit more in depth, and of course I have brought a special guest on for this episode, Wazza.
Hey, how you going?
Nice to see you on the episodes again for another review, this time again on Neil Young.
Yep.
It's been only, it's December I think last year that we did the review on Barn.
Yep.
Yes,
Barn.
and that was the most recent album that Neil Young put out with Crazy Horse up until about 4-6 weeks ago. We put this episode off a little bit, but hey, we're here now and we're doing a review in this one. We're going to be doing it a little bit more in depth, of course. We're going to go song by song, discuss the tracks a little bit, and I guess have a rating for the album. So let's jump straight into this, really. This is Neil Young's Toast album, of course. It's his 42nd album in his career. That's crazy to think about. It's his 15th with Crazy Horse as well, backing him. The album, this is a little bit of an odd one, because this album is a collection of recordings around the time that Are You Passionate was recorded. And for those of you who aren't sure of Are You Passionate, and I don't blame you, that was around about 2001, 2002. So in an interview, Neil stated he didn't want to release these because he thought it was too sad, which I find highly ironic for Neil Young. But nonetheless, they have seen the light of day. But to a degree, some of these tracks anyway, have already seen the light of day. So, without further ado, we're going to jump straight into the first track, Quit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just think the whole album, I mean, when you look at someone who can discard, I suppose, work from the year 2000 or 2001 and, then re-record it, half the tracks, 6 months later, I mean, the album, itself is an album that I think many people would be happy about. But yeah, for him to describe it as sad after listening to Tonight's the Night, or
yeah, that really makes me happy. Nothing gets a party roused than Tonight's the Night.
Or some of his other albums, even Parts of Harvest or whatever. But yeah, he's a guy who specialises in hard rock and sad albums.
Yes, that's his forte. It's his go-to. It's his bread and butter.
And of course, with Crazy Horse, yeah, he's really that is the big machine behind him quite often. And so yeah, the opening track, Quit.
Yes. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, it's a very mellow track. It sounds. I can't pick out much of the horse in it. It sounds more like just a solo Neil Young, or perhaps with Stray Gators or something like that, or a few other musicians in the studio. The first thing I thought about, it was written, or I guess it was written in 2000 or thereabouts. Because I think most of this album was recorded in 2001.
It was, yes.
Is it about Peggy? And I did read something on the release of this album which said, yeah, he's married with Peggy. They were having a bad time. I mean, they had a much worse time a few years later when they actually did divorce.
I was trying to look into that a bit.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So
not very well, but
because I think she
suffered from cerebral palsy and epilepsy. I think wasn't that Peggy, his first wife?
No, it's his second. Well, no, Peggy's. It's the son who suffers from cerebral. He's got two sons who suffer from cerebral palsy.
Oh, okay.
Neil Young himself does suffer from epilepsy.
Okay.
But, and they were married for 36, 37 years. People were surprised when they did finally break up. He remarried, and of course she's since passed away. She died from cancer only a couple of years after they broke up. But yeah, this song's very mellow. Solo kind of Neil Young. It's a pretty standard Neil Young track, really.
It really is. Yeah, it's a very somber opening track in a slow pace.
Yeah, he quite often hits it hard when he first opens. Particularly with Crazy Horse.
Yeah. Not so much on this track, I guess, but it is kind of set in the outliner of... not the outliner. It is set in what is to be of the album. Look, yes, this is a sad track about love that might be one-sided, you know, as if told by someone who did something like cheated on their significant other, or, you know, maybe some past experiences in Neil's crazy life. Who knows, though? It's fairly open to interpretation in the lyrics. So, you know, it's up to you how you, I guess, openly interpret this song. It's got a very bluesy guitar piece with a minimalistic approach, though. You know, little couple of key notes here with him just playing along, and I don't know. I mean, this was originally on "Are You Passionate?" I think it was actually the opening track.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this
Yes.
Was re-recorded. I think I think
It
all
was
the tracks
called
were re-recorded with Booker T and the MGs, except for one track. I think he kept Crazy Horse on it, but I believe.
Yeah, because this one...
I mean, Are You Passionate was not an album. I listened to it a few times when it first came out. Yeah, it was all right. The track Let's Roll, or Let's Roll,
I think that was the
Are
big
You
one, yeah.
Passionate? That was a song that he wrote in relation to the September 11
yeah.
aircraft thing, and I think it was the one that was heading towards Washington when some of the passengers, evidently, I guess this must have been recorded somehow on the black box or something, 'cause I don't know, no one survived the plane, but some of the passengers were realising that they were heading for Washington, decided, well, they yelled at "Let's Roll," and they attacked
That's
the people
right. It
on
was
the plane.
it was a voicemail.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah,
It
must
was.
have
I've actually, yes, you raised a very good point there. I might play the clip, depending, but there is a voicemail of a certain individual on the plane, and I think the guy who uploaded it described it as the most American voicemail to ever receive.
Yeah.
And the gentleman is like, "All right, we know what's happening in this thing. All right, Americans, let's roll."
They got the message,
Yep.
They got the message that they'd hit the towers and all that, I think, and so they, very bravely. I mean, they realised that they weren't going to come out of this alive, so they thought, well, let's go down fighting. So it is a very. He wrote that song "Let's Roll" about that, which appeared on "Are You Passionate?" But yeah, I mean, 5 or so of these tracks were re-recorded or appeared on.
Yeah, like they were re-recorded or originally on "Are You Passionate?" I mean, this track in particular, the original track was "Don't Say You Love Me," which of course is the main lyrics almost of this song. But yes, a bulk of these tracks will be making the same note here are from "Are You Passionate?"
Yeah.
which was recorded with Booker T
and the MGs.
and the MGs, famous 60s R&B band, aren't they?
They were a great band.
So you're going to hear that a few times in this review. I've listened to both versions, and I gotta say, I don't see much difference between the two versions, except I guess in quality. With the one from "Are You Passionate" sounded much more polished, and I guess upbeat in the drums section, as you would expect for a 60s R&B band, compared to this one here with "Crazy Horse," which has got that more rough around the edges appeal to it, grittier version.
Yeah, as you would, like you said, as you would expect. I mean, Crazy Horse are, a loose engine of a band in a way. They're, chunky kind of bar band.
Yes.
Whereas Booker T and the MGs were, very sophisticated kind of smooth. They did instrumentals. They didn't have a vocalist with the band when they were Booker T and the MGs, and as just Booker T and the MGs, they had great songs like Green Onion.
I'm sure it brought tears to everyone's eyes in the crowd. They wept in joy at the sound of Green Onion.
One of theirs, they did some great stuff, and I think various members of them are still around a bit now. And
I can say
Steve Cropper, I think, was the guitarist. He was in the Blues Brothers.
You could tell me that. I would believe you. I have, to be honest, I've not really heard the band.
Yeah. No, they're good.
If you told me Booker T out of a conversation, I'd be the wrestler. Yeah. WCW fans reunite here. I think he was on WCW. I forget where else. Look, the track itself, it's okay. Nothing crazy good about it. It won't quit me soon, haha. But it's fine for an opener. It's a surprising choice, I guess, for an opening album song. But I guess for what's coming in the album, a decent choice. Yeah. What do you think? Did you Like it, love it.
Yeah, it's a good track. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit not quite the hit or the beat of Don't Cry No Tears, which opened Zuma. That song really bounces. But yeah, it's probably more of the track you'd expect to finish side one when it was vinyl, like
yeah.
and then flip it over to something a bit more powerful.
They'll release it on vinyl, they will.
Yeah, I think it
should.
has been released on vinyl.
And that should have been the end of side one, everybody. But that was just the beginning. So, we follow up, of course, with Standing in the Light of Love. This one is much more energy.
Here Comes Crazy Horse.
Yes. I feel it now. It's just, yep, Crazy Horse is with us.
Yep.
It's your standard Neil fuzz-drenched riffage in this track. This one's a really good track, I feel. What about yourself?
Yeah, I thought it was a great track. As I said, Here Comes Crazy Horse. You listen to the first one, you think I am just listening to a Neil Young solo with a couple of studio musicians.
Yeah.
I can't pick out too much, that would sounds like the Horse, but on Standing in the Light, they're there.
They are, and in force.
They're cranked up.
It's kind of annoying. It's great but annoying because it's a short song. But at the same time, when I'm listening to this, I can see it going for much longer in a live setting.
Yeah.
I can just you can hear it in the bits. Like, yeah, we would extend this to a 10-minute guitar solo here or whatever. Or there are a lot of sections they can do a lot with Standing in the Light of Love. Was this the one that was held back? Because I couldn't find it on the Are You Passionate album.
I don't think this appeared on the...
I don't... Because I only thought there was
3
about
or 4... I think there was 3 tracks on this that didn't appear later. There was...
I think it's like 3 or 4 tracks appeared on Are You Passionate.
I think Gateway of Love he might have performed live.
Yes, I got a note for that one a bit later on. But look, it's a short song. It's definitely Crazy Horse in full swing here for 4-ish, 5 minutes. It's one of the better tracks from the album, to be honest.
Interesting that you can shelve a track like this and just leave it sitting there for 21 years.
Yeah, 21 years. Like, you had so many chances.
Most songwriters, singer, guitarists, or whatever, would die for a song like that, Neil Young writes it, records it, and then just boxes it away. Puts it in his archives, as he said,
But he'd have he's the type of artist who would have a lot of things in his archive.
Oh,
when he did Psychedelic Pill, that was a 2 CD album.
He's been releasing archive material for a long time. I mean, the big album that was waited for many, many years was Homegrown, which was only released 2 years ago. That was an acoustic kind of stuff, and that was...
Recorded in the 70s.
Yeah, it was. What was it, Around There Comes a Time, or, that...
After the Gold Rush, I think.
Yeah, it might have been. And it was
I think it was recorded around 72, 73.
Yeah, it was shelved again. Some of the songs appeared on, the Decade album set that he...
right.
brought out. Was it Winter Long? And a few other tracks. And so everyone was waiting for Homegrown, and you all knew about Homegrown, and it was just kind of a secret album that no one was going to hear. But
the not so secret album. I did listen to that album. That was actually a really good album.
Yeah, so
there was the secret album I didn't know about for sure.
Yeah, and that was 40 years or plus.
40 plus years. It was a long freaking time.
Yeah.
So, if you can imagine, that album plus this one now coming out of the archives, and the guy writes a lot of material.
Oh, yeah.
Psychedelic, like I said with Psychedelic Pill, that was almost 2 albums worth of material when he wrote with Crazy Horse, because that was the first time since I think 2004 he got back with Crazy Horse.
Yeah, that was a 2012 album or something, and he
it'd been like 8 years or something, and they were on a creative spree.
Been working with Promise of the Real and a few other...
and they were writing bloody 10-minute long songs again, and
I mean, some people would argue that they're 4-minute songs stretched out to 10, but I quite like...
I like Drifting Back.
I like Neil Young and Crazy Horse when they stretch out.
I think Drifting Back's one of his best tracks.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's half an hour long. I'll sit there and listen to the entire 30 minutes, thank you very much. Well, I digress. We go on with the following track here. It's Going Home. So, this one has a very strong bass line that guides the song. It's a simple yet effective bass line, which is a variant to the original, I think, just a little bit. Musically, it's kind of a relaxing song. It's laid back in tempo and dialed back in tone a fair bit. It's kind of funny that on Barn there was a song called Welcome Back, and now this song is Going Home. Timing is of the essence, I suppose. Take that what you will, or maybe he's a lizard person just writing songs, you don't know. The message could be in there. What did you think of this track?
Yeah, it's a good Neil Young Crazy Horse track, and listening to it, it's one of those tracks you can just imagine or think about how they would do it live. Think about how they would stretch it out and change it a bit, and that's what I like. I mean, I think I've told you before, I've seen Neil Young with Crazy Horse a number of times, and without Crazy Horse, with him just solo, but with Crazy Horse joining him on the second half of the show. And
we both have.
Yeah, that's right. We did too. Yeah. And I saw not Coverdale, what's it called? Greendale tour. Coverdale was a singer.
How unfortunate to see Greendale. Ian Coverdale, yeah. Could you imagine that?
David Coverdale, not Ian Gillan.
No, Ian. Well, there's a combination you don't want to see.
And, I can just imagine this one being stretched out and played live. It'd be a good concert track, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I find it's got some very odd lyrics, like the song alludes to the Battle of Custer's Last Stand, but the second verse seems to be about youth dying for the country for the rich, but the third verse gets weird, mentioning a lady on a wooden bridge in a car turning down her radio at the sight of warriors. Like, is this a vision? Are you tripping on mushrooms? I don't know.
Well, he did record it in San Francisco in 2001, so who knows?
He may have been influenced under the TLC.
The album is evidently named after the recording studio that they worked in. I don't know why it was called Toast. I mean, a funny name for a recording studio, but anyway. Maybe it was just
Maybe
toast.
It had no air conditioner. Pretty hot in here. It's toasty. Again, look, this song also appeared on the Are You Passionate album. When I get back to it, look, that's second time mentioning it. It's probably another 2 more times I'll say that. But again, it's not much difference between the production levels, where this one is now just slightly more rough. The bass line's a little bit varied,
which I prefer.
Yeah,
I like
it's
rough
definitely
around the edges.
It definitely suits. Actually, you know what? This track it suits Crazy Horse more than the Booker T band.
Yep.
It's a pretty good song. I do enjoy this song. I really do. I think it's one of the better tracks from this album. So we move along to the next track, which is Timberline. And this is a song, a bitter story of resentment and vengeance, if you will. Talks about going postal almost after getting laid off at work at the lumber industry. It's a classic Neil Young song with a steady rock and drum beat, that grungy kind of riff, and that growl, of course, from Neil. What did you think of this track?
Yeah, it's another working class song, isn't it, from Neil Young? He's a bit like Bruce Springsteen, writes quite a bit about the working class, probably mostly working class man, but working class people. A simple beat, interesting lyrics, lost job, lost faith. Is it about an environmental concern, or is it about the loss of faith?
I guess that's open to interpretation, isn't it?
So it's I found it an interesting lyrics. Generally speaking, Neil Young writes good lyrics. Some of the stuff is a bit ordinary. He's not quite Dylan, but he's written some interesting material. But I like this. I like this track.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned that line now, and it just reminded me. I was listening to this song a bit earlier, and I think there was even a part of the track where he's talking about, like, I think it was the union reps or something. My tools are up to, standard, and I can't remember the rest of the lyrics, but I think it's along the lines of, "Do you want a bribe out of me? Like, get out of here," And look, it's not the first time he's done songs about the working class, as per se. It won't be the last, But for me, I don't know. This song, it's alright, but it's just not too memorable for me. I didn't particularly enjoy it. I didn't. I only recall it now when you mentioned that lyric. That was only because I heard it today. Yeah. If I hadn't listened to it today, I don't think I would have recalled that. So I guess you're the same. It's a passable track, but otherwise, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably how it feels on that one there. We follow on, of course, to Gateway of Love. Now, of course, this was originally listed on the Are You Passionate album, but interestingly, not included. So, yeah, I think it was on the back of the CD. It was listed on there, but it wasn't included on the original release. This song is the song that we were talking about earlier, which was performed live on 28 shows with only one bootleg available. And now, we have it on the album, everyone. So, yeah, look, it's a slow track, of course, at 10 minutes long. It's the true Crazy Horse style. Woz, what did you feel about this one?
I thought this was a bit... In fact, I wrote before I even looked at the next track, I thought it was a bit How You Doing. And the next track is How You Doing. Yeah, I wasn't... I thought this was a track that probably was a bit stretched out, and yeah, I haven't heard the bootleg version of it live.
I'd imagine the quality would be pretty average.
It probably comes across okay as a live track, but yeah, I thought it was. And from memory of this one, and I did listen to the album again last night in preparation, but the lyrics were pretty meaningless. I think on this track, it was not one of his.
No, it wasn't very memorable lyrically. Yeah, definitely not. I couldn't even recall any of the lyrics for it right now. Yeah. I could barely recall the riff. I wrote here that it's got a good little guitar interludes in parts, but as far as the song goes, I really don't find it great, and can see why it was left off the album initially, even on Are You Passionate?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Look, it's got a swing kind of drum beat throughout it, and can understand why he got the band Booker T in to do the certain songs. But obviously this one didn't appear on the album.
That a guy with a back catalogue like Neil Young would choose a song like this, unreleased, to play live.
The amount of songs that you have.
Geez, you go back, over his catalogue, as you said, this is his 42nd album?
Mm.
42, it's the meaning of life. Maybe that's what toast is. At least, of course,
can you smell burning toast?
The meaning of life, according to Douglas Adams.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know why he would choose to. As I said, it probably would be an interesting song to hear live, and I just wonder whether that's a better version. But I mean, like people paying to go and see Neil Young would hear this song, I guess, and be interested by it and wonder what album it was on, perhaps. Try to find it and find that it's not there.
No, of course.
And yeah, but with a person with such a huge catalogue, I mean, that must be difficult for people like anyone who's been around for anywhere near as long as Neil Young. All the major acts. You just imagine Bob Dylan going through his back catalogue, and what do I play tonight?
Yeah, exactly. Or Johnny Cash, or someone who's done 100+ albums. What am I going to pick? Ring of Fire, I guess.
That's right. You've always got a few tracks that you got to kind of play. That the audience expect you to, but
I guess with his diversity, he has a lot to change it up. I mean, I was even looking at the concert that we went to just to see if any of these songs were in the mix somehow, which they weren't.
No.
But even I remember going to that album, and I'm like, I don't recall some of these tracks. I couldn't, and I'm listening to it, and I'm going, okay, that's bloody weird. Even looking over the track list of certain things. And there was a few there that were a bit odd. I can't recall with the odd ones now. I've got it saved somewhere in a picture. But yeah, look, this song, I guess, I wrote a note here. It's okay, but if I heard it live, I think this would be a beer stop song.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. I mean, he's just had an album released from 2019, a live album with Promise of the Real. I think it's Bouquet and Flowers.
Okay.
And it's a good album. I like it. It's not with Crazy Horse. It's with Promise of the Real, which he's recorded and worked with a bit over time.
They did Peace Trails or something together like that.
Yeah,
didn't
they did. Yeah, and they've done a couple. They've had another live album out, Monsanto Years or something.
Yes.
And that album, I mean, Neil, as I was saying, Neil Young's back catalogue and the huge choice of tracks that he's got. He brought out some stuff on that album live, which I don't know if he's ever performed them much. And one of the tracks that I was really pleasantly surprised and enjoyed listening to was a track from his first solo album, Neil Young.
Oh, okay.
I've Been Waiting for You, I think it is. And And when I heard that track, because the first album, Neil Young, he himself calls it, I think, one of the most over...
Indulgent?
Studio, like it's a
overproduced.
Overproduced, yeah. There's a lot of echo chamber and stuff and all that kind of, it was late 60s or whatever.
69 that he released.
Yeah, that's right.
And just coming off Buffalo Springs and
Buffalo
all the rest of them.
Yeah.
You were trying to recreate that sound. They were always harmonising, so...
And when I first heard that, I've been waiting for you, I again, like I said with Going Home, I could imagine him doing it live, and I wondered why you would never not do a track. He had done a number of tracks off that, live over the years. The Loner is a track that gets a lot of airplay, and not airplay, but he's played it live a number of times, and other artists, even his mate Stephen Stills has recorded The Loner.
Okay.
There's a few tracks from that he's played live, particularly I guess when he did some of his acoustic sessions, because that album lent itself more to that kind of
definitely lent
acoustic,
into that side
but
of things.
I don't remember him doing. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't remember him doing it. I've been waiting for you, but
that's interesting though. We move along to the following track, of course, from Toaster, and How You Doing? How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Oh man, what a track name!
Who was it used to say that? Was it a character on Friends or something?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna get some angry comments now.
Oh, sorry.
People going, how do you not know Friends? Joey Tribbiani, how you doing? Yeah, that was his iconic opening. That was his pickup.
Well, I haven't watched Friends for a long time.
I don't think have you ever watched Friends?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Love it.
Yeah, okay. So Joey
when it was
Tribbiani
originally on TV, when it was first. It still is on TV. I know.
It's always on TV. It's never off been. It's never been off TV.
But I watched it when it was coming out.
Okay, we've got the OG fan that just forgot. He had a mental blank. It's all right, people. Calm down. So yeah, Joey Tribbiani's opening line. Whenever he goes to pick up, wants to pick up women, is how you doing? Yeah.
But I thought this was better than the Passionate version. The Are You Passionate version. I thought this was another, I guess, song that with Crazy Horse on it just adds that.
Yes.
Not to meant to criticise Booker T and the MGs because they are a very smooth, polished band, as I've said. That I don't know. I guess Crazy Horse, having worked with him for such a long time, and
they understand him.
Yeah,
it helps.
It's only three guys, and they punch out a lot of sound. They're, as I said, like a machine behind him.
It's like I had the same notes essentially here. This song, How You Doing, was originally on Are You Passionate as Mr. Disappointment.
That's right.
But
different name.
Yeah. Some of these songs are, but this version is much more suited with Crazy Horse behind him, of course, rather than Booker T. And I think a lot of that has to do, like you said, and we'll talk about it, I guess, more in the end. But Crazy Horse knowing Neil more, this is another love lost song.
Yeah, it's an introspective song, isn't it?
Yeah, another love lost song.
I can see why this would be a bit sad, considered.
It's a classic Neil slow piece, really, when it comes to Love Lost again.
Yeah.
He's done it several times before, and he'll probably do it several times more.
I think he's like a lot of musicians, when if you're heartbroken or something, you tend to bring out your best material.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. This is a pretty solid track for me. I liked it. Yeah, very good track.
Yeah.
So we move on, of course, to the last track from the album, Boom, Boom, Boom. Very original. Now, for me, when it comes to Neil Young and Crazy Horse, long songs, always good. Cowgirl in the Sand, Drifting Back, Cortez the Killer, Welcome Back, Love to Burn, and I'm always excited to see tracks that are like 13 minutes long. That being said, this song's disappointing to me. It is so disappointing. This song, the only thing I can think of whenever I hear it is it's got this knockoff Smoke on the Water riff that you would play the first time you're playing guitar, and you're thinking, oh, this is Deep Purple, Smoke on the Riff. Dun 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 No, it's
No,
not.
it's the missing a bit.
You know, it's the very first riff you play in on a guitar, you know, and they played this for 13 minutes. Oh, please take over before I kill someone.
Well, this, of course, was called She's a Healer on Passionate.
Okay.
So it had a different... And it was the final track on Are You Passionate?
Yeah, I did. I listened to Are You Passionate earlier, and I'm like, oh, this is that track,
The last track, yeah. And it's a shorter track on Passionate. It's only 9 minutes.
Thank God.
But I actually quite liked it. Yes, it is repetitious, and I suppose it's also one of those songs with a bit of editing could have brought it down to 5 minutes, but I do like the longer...
Bit of editing could have left it on the floor, too.
There's an interesting bit of jazz in it. You know, he introduced... There's a bit of...
There's a saxophone solo.
Saxophone or trumpet bit in it. You know, like, and, you know, Neil Young... I've never associated him with jazz.
No. He's not Santana.
Probably not even really blues as such. He's more Americana, you know, which of course is one of the albums he had out with Crazy Horse.
Folksy, Americana,
folk
rock.
and Americana, hard rock, heavy rock.
Although that being said, he does get down to bluesy. When he recorded that album with Jack White, and that was the one that's in the phone booth.
Oh yeah,
you know, that recording studio.
Mm.
Him and a guitar by himself for, I don't know, it's like a half-hour album, and that gets pretty bluesy in parts.
Yeah,
you know?
but he's not the kind of, you know, I don't know.
He's not over the top.
He's not a Johnny Winter, Walter Trout kind of blues
No,
guy.
he's not relying on a 12-bar blues.
No.
Look, he is very Americana when it comes to songwriting, themes, style of playing, you know. He's got that energy to him. But
he's got that Canadian folk rocker kind of, you know, you hear it in Joni Mitchell and even perhaps in Leonard Cohen, who, of course, was much more focused on the lyrics. And almost, well, he did write poetry, Leonard Cohen. But,
very true.
But yeah, this boom, boom, boom. The more I listen to this album, the more I like that track. It was growing on me.
That's a skip.
And probably because of that almost Deep Purple kind of riff, the boom, boom, boom. And I can hear that's where he got the, you know, like, because I don't think they use the term boom, boom, boom in the track, or do they?
I don't think they have the lyric in it, no. I couldn't recall the lyrics.
And to hear it, you know, it's one of those tracks you think, I've heard that before. And of course, I have. It's all called She's a Healer on. And you go back to Are You Passionate and have a look and think, no, it's not on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was trying to look for the song titles, but half of them are retitled.
Well, that's right. 2 or 3 of the tracks are called something different on
Are You Passionate? That's right.
How confusing. I don't know why you would...
yeah, bugger if I know why they changed it. Could it be legal reasons? Who knows?
Well,
in this day and age.
Unless he's concerned about plagiarising himself.
I don't know. Or does that open himself up to Booker T? Anyway, half the tracks that were on Are You Passionate that are re-recorded on this album here were reworded.
Well, no, they're re-recorded for Are You Passionate, not re-recorded. They were on Toast and then re-recorded for Are You Passionate.
Right, that's what... Yeah, sorry, they were first. Look, I can't fault Neil's slow guitar jam in this song. I just fault pretty much 99% of the track. I don't like Boom Boom Boom. It's just terrible.
Well, see, for me, I think that's... To me, it was almost worth the album. It's good to listen to it and wait for that track to come up.
Okay. It's interesting. It's interesting to know.
Probably a bit slower. It suits my style more now.
Yeah. But when it's Neil really being fast.
Oh, yeah, you listen to some of his live stuff, particularly with Crazy Horse. I mean...
back in the 70s, maybe?
You know, Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black, or whatever.
Even that song was still a bit slow.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, considering I listen to bloody thrash metal and that stuff's at 240 beats per minute.
Yeah, don't
that's
forget,
slow.
Neil Young was called the godfather of grunge, and you listen to...
thrash is not grunge.
Welfare Mothers.
Thrash is not grunge.
No.
Don't get those two mixed up, please.
Like
I'm going to get killed over Friends. I don't want to be killed by thrash metal perfectionists.
Sorry, thrash metal perfectionists, but that's not my area of expertise. I don't know if I've ever listened to... I can just imagine what thrash metal is. I don't know.
Metallica.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
you've listened to Metallica. Yeah.
But you listen to tracks like he's like Welfare Mothers, you know.
Welfare Mothers ain't better lovers.
Yeah, they start off, you know, that's like really quite a... And particularly when they do it live, but even... Well, I think even the track that they had appeared on the studio, I think it's probably recorded live in studio, or actually live. I think
that would make sense. That was a good album,
though.
What was that, Ragged Glory or something?
No, that was on.
Oh, hang on. Mirrorball. No.
No.
It's the fisheye
Rust
lens.
Never Sleeps.
Welfare Mothers.
Welfare Mothers
No,
was-
but it was re-recorded for a studio. I think it was
No, Rust Never Sleeps was, I think, the studio, and then Live Rust brought it out as a live. But I got the feeling
it was on that 1990
Rust
album.
Never Sleeps. A lot of the tracks were live, but they cut audience sound and all that out. I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that.
No, what was the album he released in 1990? It had a fisheye lens in it on the front cover.
Yeah, that was with
that wasn't
Crazy
Ragged
Horse.
Glory,
That
though, was it?
I think it was Ragged Glory.
I'm pretty sure that
Yeah,
one had
yeah.
a re-recording, I should say, of
Welfare Mothers.
Welfare Mothers.
Did it? Okay.
I'm very sure. Yeah, okay, so 1990 Ragged Glory, which had Country Home, White Line, fucking up. Oopsie. Sorry about that. Over and Over, Love to Burn, Farmer John, Mansion on the Hill, Days That Used to Be, Love and Only Love. Okay, so Mother Earth was the last one. Sorry, didn't have Welfare Mothers. But
Yeah.
I do remember that was off that live recording that you were mentioning before.
Yeah, Live Rust and Rust Never Sleeps.
Correct, yeah. Okay, so that was a quick run through regarding this. We're going to go over our brief analysis regarding this album, of course. Now, the songs on this album, while alternative versions of a few of their previous songs, they're subtly different for the better in regards to their counterparts compared to, say, Booker T and the MGs, when they were recorded like originally back in the day. So I get the vibe that this album was recorded with Crazy Horse, and then, or parts of it anyway, and then he's had something flip in his change of heart. I guess something's happened in his mind, and go, you know what? I think I want to try a bit more of an R&B sound, and brought in obviously Booker T to try and finish off this album. And look, Booker T is, like you said, probably a fine band. I've never listened to them, but they don't suit them. I'm guessing they've probably never been in the same room up until that album. And at the end of the day, this is material that Crazy Horse probably wrote for Crazy Horse reasons.
Neil Young wrote.
Well, Neil wrote, but obviously Crazy Horse helped write bits of it. And
they won't give him credit.
Yeah, well, legalities again. And then Booker T's coming in with his band, and then they're just polishing it all up. And look, Are You Passionate was an album. I hadn't listened to the full album up until today, as of recording. I'd heard bits of it, and I was just like, that's fine. It's not my cup of tea. It's not for me.
Yeah, it wasn't an album that I went back to.
You know what? And it was fine. Like, it had some tracks on there that weren't bad. A few tracks, but the interesting part, I guess, is listening to Crazy Horse come into the play and make it just slightly different,
edgier,
for some of these tracks. So, what were you thinking in the analysis region?
Well, as I said earlier, I mean, it's interesting that a person can discard an album like this when you consider listening to it now, 21 years after it was recorded. It's still a good album, like it's, all the work that goes into it, the cost, the time, writing, all that. And look, he puts his heart into his work, I suppose, and maybe he did feel it was too sad. Maybe he patched up whatever was going wrong with him and Peggy, and he didn't want to antagonise her by releasing an album with a few, because
that's true.
That some of the refrains on Quit probably maybe hit too close to home.
Maybe
that's what he meant by going home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've ranked it at I put a question mark with Ghost Pepper. So what's that? That's the fourth.
Oh, you're using the ranking.
I'm using
Okay, yeah. Okay. I didn't give you the ranking. Okay, so I've done them. I stuffed up. I've given you the old ranking system. That's the tier list.
Yeah.
So on 5 Minute Reviews, we do it between 0 to 15 million.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's on a scale. Like, pretty much, if you're rating it at about one...
And that's exponential, isn't it? So
exponential. Like, 15 million has got to be a perfect album.
Rust.
It's got to be perfect.
Rust Never Sleeps or something. Yeah.
I think there's only 3 that I would give 15 million ranking to albums. Pretty much anything over 1 million is good.
Yeah, look, I'd give this a 5 million, I guess, on a rank.
That's really good in my eyes.
Is it? Okay,
yeah.
Maybe 3.
That's fine.
I'd have to see the exponential chart,
Yeah, one day I'll make an episode, people. I'll get around to it. I'm going to clarify the Chilli chart so that everyone
2 million
knows.
5 times better than 1 million, or is it 1 time better? I don't know.
Yeah. Look, yeah, when it came down to this whole album, really, it's noticeable mostly on the drumming sections, which are much more polished, refined, almost upbeat in sounds, just because of the snap.
Billy Talbot.
Yeah, of the drums in that. And when you're listening to the drums on the Toast album, I should say, it's kind of dragging, but I'm not saying that in a negative way. I mean, it's different. And, Are You Passionate popped, while this one, I don't know, it just kind of dragged along, but for the better. It suits Neil's style so well. While these songs may not have been written with Crazy Horse entirely in mind, it still suits Crazy Horse at the end of the day, listening to these tracks. So,
according to a review that I read, he was actually writing some of this stuff in the studio while the members of Crazy Horse watched TV. Or rewriting, sitting down with bits of paper, all that kind of stuff. So
the other thing I was thinking about, and that was just on the way here, was I was listening to another album, Silver and Gold, that he did just the year prior to recording this. It's so different.
Oh, that's his folk style acoustic. I like Silver and Gold. That was a good album.
Silver and Gold. Like, I don't think I'd listened to that album for ages. Even when I was listening to, Daddy's Walking Home or whatever the track. I'm I haven't heard this song since you played it in the car sometime 20 years ago. I'm like, I know this riff.
CD. Yeah.
But I'm listening to the album and I'm going, a lot can happen in a year.
That's more in the long... Yeah. I mean, that's more in the realms of Comes a Time and perhaps even Harvest, dare I say it.
Yeah.
Kind of,
it's more akin to that. I mean...
folk style,
acoustic. It's more upbeat. It's more decent. Coming into the new millennium,
voice as well. He uses his higher range,
and the harmonica. I don't think there was.
Whereas this one's like 4-wheel driving.
Freshly after weeks worth of rain, people. That's exactly what this album is.
If this album had come out in 2001, it's the kind of album I might have bought. Listened to 20 times, put away and listen to it once every couple of years. It's not an album I'd go back to all the time, but I guess that's the way a lot of people consume music. You have a favourite album or two, you listen to it over and over again, and then you get sick of it.
Yeah.
And you move on.
Yeah.
Not so much with streaming music, I think, because you've got such a wide choice. You don't have to listen to any one album.
I still have to do my list for the top 10 songs for this year, and I'm like, this time last year I had most of the list already written out. This time I'm like, God, where do I even begin? Look, overall regarding this, it's like, considering that this is a collection of songs that were outtakes or re-recorded versions from a less than stellar album, this is kind of for the die-hard fans, I guess. This is a B-sides, this is a demos and outtakes. It's a collector, yeah, it truly is.
Fans.
It really is for the fans, If you've not heard too much Neil Young or never have heard Neil Young, don't start here. Do not start here. It's a terrible place to start. There's some decent tracks, but it's not really showing Neil's flair for his songwriting. You can probably find that on After the Gold Rush. That's probably the perfect way to start when you go to Neil.
If you want Neil Young, Crazy Horse, Zoomer, or Rust Never Sleeps.
All those two albums. But this one I feel is definitely aimed at the die-hard fans, the big Crazy Horse fans, the crazy Horse fans, I should say. And, I'm sure they'll enjoy bits of it. Maybe they're kind of like me going, the fuck? It's on Are You Passionate? And it's less than stellar album. But overall, I kind of found this album just dragging along in a lot of places. There are some pretty decent tracks, and I guess, what were the tracks? Sorry, I've just lost my note on the favourite. Yeah.
Stand in the Light.
Yeah, I just lost my note on which were the favourite tracks I had written down here. Anyway, sorry, here it is. Right after my ranking of it. Standing in the Light of Love and How You Doing, to me, were the two best tracks on this album. I mean, there's only 7 tracks on this album. Not many tracks to pick from. I did originally say 700,000 Chilies, which is a very low score. But I guess, all things considered, I'll rank it a little bit higher. I'll give it 1.2 million chilies. Still pretty low tier for me. This is going to be my the lower tier of his albums as far as it goes. Okay, that car doesn't agree with me.
It's interesting with this album though, released pretty close to Barn. If I hadn't read up on it before even listening to it, before it was released, I probably, and not having listened to Are You Passionate for probably 15 years.
I wonder why.
I would have thought this was a new studio album, very similar in style to Barn.
I thought it was originally. Yeah.
So Barn and Toast, I think. I think Barn is probably the stronger album of the two. We've done the review of Barn, and it's a good album. But they're not too dissimilar. Even I think the cover. One's a Barn, one's a recording studio, a Toast, as they call it.
Well, what is it? Like, you look at the front cover of Barn, it's got that vibrant sunset.
Yeah.
But then you got Barn, which is like this stale city.
Toast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Toast. Yeah. Which is like, clearly one's whitewashed, and the other one's like vibrant, amazing colour schemes and stuff.
Evidently, the building they did it in was due to be refurbished. It's probably been knocked down and rebuilt, but it was in a part. I was in San Francisco a couple of years ago, but it's in a bit of the town that was being refreshed. Like it was. They were looking out of the studio onto a fairly derelict part of San Francisco. And maybe that's part of why it was so sad. They're in a dead part of town, in a derelict building, and with hobos and other people around.
Brought down the mood of the entire thing.
Yeah, it's a bit like when he introduced one of the songs on the Four-Way Street double live album with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He said, "This is a song that'll really bring you down." It's called "Don't Let It Bring You Down."
The irony in that man is golden.
Here's a song that starts off real slow. I think it'll really bring but don't let it bring you down.
Don't bring you down. Yeah. I guess it's up to you guys how long you've been listening to Neil Young. Maybe you've already heard this album. Let me know below. What did you think about this album? Did you enjoy this album?
It's worth a listen.
I guess it's worth a listen. Look, it definitely is. Anything by Neil is still better than nothing by Neil. So I would definitely... That's, of course, why we went through and listened to it. Of course, we're going to discuss it as well, which we have. But look, give it a listen. If you've been listening to Neil and you've been putting off that album for whatever reason, or didn't know it came out even, couldn't blame you, and you're just listening to this channel and going, oh, did he release an album? Give it a listen.
It's Neil Young being Neil Young, so he wouldn't be sued for this album. For not being Neil Young.
Yeah, he can't get sued for this one, no. There's no lawsuits there. Just,
It's not a rockabilly album or
Oh, God, no. He's definitely not
chasing...
trans. No, or that...
Shocking Pinks or whatever they were.
Or the escape exits on the airplane picture.
Landing on water.
Landing on water, yeah, God. I forgot the time that they had everything removed. This is before he took his music off Spotify. And there was only like those 3 albums. Trans, the Rockabilly one, and the Landing on Water.
Landing
and
on
I'm
Water.
Like, I'm sorry.
There was a good track on Landing on Water. There was a long track on it. I think it might have been the last track. And I think the first time I saw him was not long after that album came out, and he played it live. That was good.
I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. Those 3 albums have no
It was bought
redemption.
for me as a gift on vinyl.
Okay, well, that's fine. At least you didn't spend your money on it. But bad gift, whoever it was. Anyway, comment below, people, what you thought about this album. If you thought it was good, if you thought it was bad. Let me know your favourite tracks, of course. Hell, maybe we should even do a depth analysis in regards to Neil Young's back catalogue. I'd imagine that'd be 5 parts. It's only 42 albums to go through.
Yeah, jeez.
God damn.
I don't know how many albums Santana we did, but there was
30. I think it was 31 or 33.
Yeah.
So that'd be a... I'd have to break it into 5
That'd
parts,
be a
I
marathon,
reckon. That would be so in depth.
Maybe do it by decade.
That's still difficult. The 70s had so much.
I know, yeah. 60s, 70s, 80s.
I mean, the 80s would just be like a 5-minute episode. It would just be like, crap, 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 crap.
Well, not crap. Maybe could do better, or can do better,
Can do a lot better.
and did do a lot
Except
better.
for Freedom. That was a good one.
That was good. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, people, hope you've enjoyed this episode of Live Listen and Raced. I'm Chilli. My guest Wazza, of course, is here. Thank you for joining us in this episode.
Pleasure.
Have a great day and stay spicy out there. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Live Listen and Raced. And if you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with all your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our Chilli Con Carnage Crew so you can get notified for all the future videos that we put out, as we put out videos every Friday. Also, we are on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter over at Live Listen and Race, so make sure to tune in over there. And don't forget to like this video so that our manager can stay very happy.